Yeah, I think we're just about ready here. Bring the music down. And as the title hopefully suggests, we're doing Pokemon Gold corruptions today. So let me pull that up. Of course, it's going to be with the real-time corruptor, as per normal. Thus, I'll do the normal format I usually do. Oh, it's that restream. What are you saying down there in the corner? The chat is used to display messages. Thanks, restream. Which hasn't been working for me. If anyone's watching on YouTube, unfortunately I can't reply to YouTube comments at the moment, only because I can't pull up the YouTube comment section. So, let me clear that out. Here we go. And yeah, we'll get started. Usually the format for these on Game Boy Color corruptions, NES corruptions, anything that's using the original real-time corruptor. I usually start the stream off by explaining how I create some of the corruptions, or harvest a couple of basic ones, and then from there we can go into some more of the advanced concepts and the advanced corruptions, and we'll usually end the stream with a stockpile. So without further ado, let me load my rip of Pokemon Gold. It's my own personal file, and anyone that were to download the stockpile after the stream also requires their own personal copy that they own of Pokemon Gold. That's what I'm currently doing now. I'm a little younger, so I never actually played Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow when they came out. I played Pokemon Gold and Silver. So this brings back memories for me. And what a more perfect thing to do than to corrupt your childhood memories and see what atrocities you can create from it. So I'm going to start off right here with the save state at the beginning window. You'll notice I'm loading that save state, and we're just going backwards in time to that same exact moment again and again. If you're ever familiar with doing save states, you know, a basic emulator, it's the same kind of idea. I'm just doing a save state here. And we're going to start creating our first corruption. Now for the corruptions, we have a couple different tools available to us, starting off with predefined memory domains. Those are all listed over here in the table, like WRAM, ROM, VRAM, all of these ones. These are just predefined memory domains that are specific to the Game Boy Color. And these memory domains may or may not be utilized by the ROM we're currently playing on. Perhaps if it was a sort of low-tech game, one that doesn't have a lot going on, maybe it doesn't use, I don't know, OAM, the object file, or the object memory domain. Maybe it can store everything within RAM and it doesn't have to worry about it. Since Pokemon's a little bit larger, we can probably assume that it's using most, if not all, memory domains, so we'll be able to get some interesting corruptions out of this. And we're going to start off just on the title screen here with a little bit of prototyping to see what sort of corruptions we can create with these memory domains. And that's what I like to start off doing, get an idea of what we're allowed to corrupt, what creates interesting corruptions, before we start harvesting those corruptions. So I'm going to start off by selecting WRAM, the one at the very top here. And I'm just going to hit, there's a button that's off screen that you can't see currently, but it's just manual blast, meaning I'm just going to send a corruption, send a random variable to memory. Let's load our save state here. That will create some sort of corruption, and we might not notice anything right away, but I just sent it. And you'll notice that there's no change that went to screen, which makes sense. Pokemon Gold's kind of large. I don't actually know how large the ROM is itself, but it's a couple tens, if not hundreds of megabytes. It's probably in the tens. So just corrupting one memory domain with one value won't create any interesting effects. What we need to instead is increase our intensity, or how many corrupted values we send to memory. So I'm going to do that by raising up this intensity slider. And 2000 is a fair amount. And now I'm going to hit manual blast once. And you'll notice instantly we had an effect. We actually crashed in such a way that it kicked us back to the title screen, and we're seeing the Game Freak logo again. And there's some visual corruptions going on in the background. You'll notice the palette here swapped a little bit. So we definitely had a significant corruption that sort of broke some components. And we can fast forward here. It looks like all the objects are silhouettes. Actually, kind of looks like Pokemon Silver and Pokemon Gold. So say, yeah, anyway, so that's what that one does. We can try corrupting some more like this. Notice we get a little bit of music corruption there. We get some visuals going on. We do it again. Most of the sound's gone now. It's hardly tell Ho-Oh. Now Ho-Oh's completely gone. And eventually we completely crash. Actually, no, we're still even loading. Look at that. Now it's just black and white. Oh no. Anyway, let's load a fresh save here. And we'll do that a couple more times just to check out what goes on. Very similar that time around. Extremely similar, actually. That time it was just a crash. We can try lowering the intensity to avoid crashes and just corrupt the screen specifically. No, we didn't quite get it there. We get some Nintendo credits though. So that's neat. Anyways. Hey, what's up, Kozak? How you doing? Good to see you in chat. Nice to see you stop by. We're doing some Pokemon Gold corruptions today, which should be pretty fun. Right now I'm just kind of going over the basics, how I create corruptions, and getting an idea before we start harvesting those corruptions into a stockpile. So those are all the WRAM corruptions. We're going to check out if we do ROM corruptions. And we may get a lot more crashes here, not as many visuals or mechanical ones. Occasionally I might get some visuals. That time the sound completely cut out, and some of the object files disappeared. So we can try messing with that a little bit, however we might not get too many interesting results with it. Next we can do VRAM. Now VRAM is the stuff that's actually sent to the screen of, say, the Game Boy or the display they're using. And we usually don't touch VRAM for corruptions, only because they sort of create this scratchy effect where all the stuff underneath the top layer, if you think about it in layers, is sort of hidden. So I can keep in this button, and you'll notice everything starts getting scratchy and all messed up. And it looks kind of neat at first, however, all the corruptions that we create that utilize the VRAM, that will always kind of look like this, so they always have that sort of scratchy effect. They won't be that visually interesting when it's all kind of thrown together like Cloud Velvet. So we usually leave that in case we actually have a chaotic corruption. We can apply it after the fact, but we won't be using this domain specifically to create corruptions. Only because it hides the mechanics of stuff going on underneath. So we'll load here again. Next we have cart RAM. And it doesn't seem that's actually utilized. Usually cart RAM isn't utilized on the Game Boy Color. I think some of the later titles did utilize it, but looks like Pokemon Gold is not. Next we have OAM, which we might not see being used until we actually get in the game. Oh no, we actually do. So you'll notice how Ho-Oh is actually kind of flickering here. And that's because the object is a sprite, and that sprite's stored in memory, and has some sort of cycle that's going on with it. And every time I hit Manual Blast, it's creating some sort of corruption to it that's instantly being reset after the next iteration in that cycle. And while we're using the Nightmare engine, which just sets values temporarily, we're never going to get a permanent effect with that sprite. Instead, we need to utilize the Genie engine, this one here, which sets permanent values similar to how Cheat engine works, where every iteration step, if that value were to change, it will switch it back to your predetermined value. So this is limited by the amount of max cheats that we set, so this one's 50, we're going to set that up to 100. Now when we manual blast it once, it's permanently corrupted, and we'll see that effect carry on every iteration step. And we can continue hitting that. It also does have some music corruptions you can kind of see. Let's rewind there a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, you're just going to see some visually interesting objects from corrupting that memory domain. We even corrupted the Game Freak symbol, which is also a sprite apparently. Yeah, so that's OAM. Next we have hardware RAM, which also may not be used until we're actually in-game, as we're manipulating the hardware. However, we may get some visual effects on the loading screen. Let's give that a go. Oh yeah, we do. Okay, cool. We're gonna need a much lower intensity though. Usually the hardware RAM is fairly small, so we're gonna bring the intensity down to 150. That sort of works. Do that again, be a little bit lower, bring it down to, how about 40. When we are still using the Houdini engine, we need to switch back to the Nightmare engine. I'm just kind of quickly rushing through here, and we're getting some stuff here and there. We can't expect this to crash a lot when we're actually harvesting corruptions, so we'll have to be cautious of the intensity that we send to memory. That needs to be fairly low. And lastly, system bus. It's all the communication between the system and the game itself. So corrupting this can usually produce some nice stuff. Some interesting system bus corruptions from the SNES. Because we couldn't touch WRAM as much, it wasn't producing interesting effects. System bus did, so we relied on that. With the Game Boy though, we may get a lot of crashes as well, like we are now. So we may not utilize that too much, but it's worth a try. Without further ado, let's start a game. So we're gonna do WRAM in a bit, but we'll start off first. What time is it? It's 9 o'clock here in the night. There we go. Well, 12 minutes, what? I'm gonna make a real quick save state here, just because I want to corrupt Oak a little bit. So just a real quick... Oh, interesting, he's actually not a sprite in this case, which makes sense, he doesn't move at all, so he's a stagnant image. That's kind of interesting, you know, I never knew that. Let me load the save state. I go the classic route. I don't name them personally. Okay, cool. Make a save state right in our bedroom. From here, we're going to begin corrupting, so I'm going to select that WRAM memory domain as we did before. We were up in the 2000, 3000 range when we started getting interesting results with one blast. What do I mean by one blast? And I'll explain that here. So say our intensity is 40 right now. Over... If I switch to Nightmare Engine, our intensity is 40. And that's a fairly low corruption. If we were to manually blast the game right now, notice that nothing actually happens when we do that. We have to hit the button 5, 10, 15 times before I even notice anything happen to the screen. And when we're harvesting corruptions, we only get one shot. We only get one click of that button to apply that to a save state. And what I mean by that is if we hit the blast send button here, we create a save state in our stash history. That's listed right here. And if we open that in our blast editor, which is just a description of the corruption, to put it simply, this will explain all of the corruption that we have going on. So it'll give you the source address, it says what value in hex that it sends it to memory, and even though we have nothing going on the screen, this is what's being sent in that save state. And notice there's only 40 memory writes here, which isn't a lot. Like, we need something up in the 2000, 3000 range, as I stated. So let's go ahead and move up there. We'll do 2000. And we notice we did crash, and that's... Actually, we didn't even crash. That was a soft crash. And if we open this one in the blast editor, you'll notice... Once it loads, it's a little bit larger, so it takes a little longer to load, but... There we go. We have 2000 memory writes, and there's a lot more data here. So let's keep corrupting. We'll bring the intensity a little bit lower, maybe 1400. and we'll blast it a couple times until we find something that we like. I kinda like the music in this case. That's so neat. Sort of scrolling wall effects. Can we still go outside? Ah, we can, but it resets once we go outside. It might actually be best to... It's a TV, no it's not. Might be best to test it outside, so let's go outside. Because the overworld has a little more stuff on it. Let's go see the professor. We're gonna make another save state here. Now we'll blast it a couple times. Density still might be a little too high. We can bring it down to 1,000 just to avoid all the crashes. I need like the sprites cycling there. What's the goal tonight? Just to make a stockpile. Nothing too much. Hopefully 10 or 15 corruptions. I'll be happy with that. So good to see you, drunken rock scientist. I saw your was it your band that was playing? I saw the live stream for that. I caught it while I was at work. That was pretty awesome. This grotto in North Phoenix. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was awesome. I had never seen, I guess it was a webcam set up in that sense, like right on the stage. That was pretty awesome. Kinda wish more people would do that. I kinda like this one. I like the effects that are going on in the background. I'm a sucker for shadow corruptions that create sort of a new palette swap. And even though the game is crashed, we're gonna try doing something called sanitizing the corruption in order to keep this effect. So I'm going to open this most recent one in the Blast Editor. And again, we have 1,000 memory writes, and a lot of these are unnecessary. Like say this one at the very top, it writes the value 9E to source address 7213. I have no clue what that does, and it probably does nothing, if I was going to guess. So a lot of these are unnecessary, and they don't actually need to be in the corruption in order for it to function. In fact, it actually may decrease the stability of the corruption if we leave it there. And in this case, we are crashing, so maybe one of these random memory addresses crashes the game and we want to remove that. We can do so by randomly disabling half of them. You'll see the half of these are checked off now. And if we load the corruption again, we want to see if our shadow corruption persists after we load it. In this case, it didn't, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip or invert the disabled ones, choose the other half of that, 50%. And in this case, we do notice that the shadow's still there. We are still crashed, but the music's there, at least for half a moment. So now I can remove the ones that we have disabled, and we've cut our corruption down to 500 memory writes. We can now continue in that fashion. This one is a crash, but no shadow. This one we have a partial shadow, and I'm okay with that. I kind of like that. And there's sort of a cycling going on in this wall, so that's neat. And we didn't crash, which is also very good. So we can remove the ones we have disabled here. We have 250 now. We'll continue along in this fashion just to sanitize our corruption. I think I may have missed one. Did. Shoot. We're gonna open that one more time. When you're getting down to just a couple 10 or 15 left, every once in a while, the one that you're looking for will sneak through. would be interesting to get stuff that would improve any percent runs, and I would actually love to be able to do that. I personally don't speedrun, so I don't actually know what I'm looking for when I'm trying to create those kind of tools. Perhaps I'm looking for understanding the memory a little bit better, so maybe people can use that information to later go on to write some information about the memory domain and improve any percent runs. But at the moment, I'm just going for visual tweaks or mechanical tweaks, either or, whichever comes up. Usually we get a lot more visuals than we do mechanical, but I'd love to be able to create tools for any percent runs, for sure. I'm going to call that good because we have most of the corruption here when we load it. If we try disabling half of them, we actually lose the pink effect. Oh, but we do crash though, unfortunately. Shoot, so we're going to keep sanitizing a little bit. As a test, we're going to throw this on the stash. Try re-rolling it. I'm curious if we get any other visuals out of it. That might be interesting. No, not too much. Well, I'm going to throw this one straight onto the stockpile, and we'll call it it's just a test visual corruption, just a very baseline one. From there, we're gonna restart by applying fresh corruption. Try and bring the intensity down a little bit. We'll bring it down to 500. And right now, we're blasting memory with random data types, meaning give it a source address, write a random value between 0 and FF. Instead, we can try tilt values, which just increments or decrements the value at that random source address. And sometimes I find that's a little more stable because you're not, other than crashes, you're not writing hugely different values to memory. In this case, I kind of like the music corruption that we got going on in the background. Has a nice ring to it, so I can perhaps keep that one as well. But I figured out the memory address for the yellow window. Yellow window. I don't think I have. You mean like the window that's on the Pokemon? Let me check that out, one sec. Oh yeah, my restream is working. Welcome, CDX34. I appreciate the stream from recently. I'm glad you could stop by. We're doing a little bit of Pokemon Gold. I'm checking out Amador. It seems like you're trying to... Oh yeah, before. Cycle through the color values. That was on this one. I didn't figure out the specific memory address. The problem with that is I think it's a hybrid corruption, where there's multiple memories that create that sort of effect. So if we go through here and we keep disabling half of them, in this first half, the pink doesn't persist, and in the other half, once it loads, the pink persists in this half, so let's see. Let me try to see if I can cut it down some more. Here's the example I meant. So in this half, there's no pink, and in the other half, there's no pink. So that means there's like 6 or 7 memory writes that sort of create that pink palette swap. And randomly disabling 50% of them can take a long time to get that. So we're just gonna keep the entire the entire stack of 500 corruptions as is and throw that into the stockpile. If we want to be very meticulous, we can spend 20-30 minutes trying to find exactly which memory addresses, but that could take too long for not too of an interesting corruption. We'll move on to find a more interesting one and try narrowing down that source address instead. For example, we might keep this one. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to think of a name for this one, but this one's not bad. Go and open this in our blast editor and try sanitizing it some more. This one's a little bit easier to narrow down specifically which corruption is creating this, which memory address. In fact, it's only one, so at the source address E6C, if you add the value, if you subtract the value, 1, from that source address value, you create this effect. And we could throw that on the stash, and call it something like, what would you call this? Grass City. It's not a bad one. A red flying across the screen. Actually makes sense, seems like it's just the sprite load address. Yep, exactly, it's the same kind of idea. This one's funny, so he kind of cycles from top to bottom, flings across the screen, and eventually he just goes back to normal. Let's try to see if we can persist that one, or keep that one. A little more sanitization on this corruption. There you go. This weekend we have just a single address here. I can't move while cycle flying. I think as soon as I do move though, let me see, I want to confirm this. So I'm cycle flying now, and I'm able to make at least 2 iterations across the screen. I think as soon as I move my character, so I'm moving now to the right. Oh, maybe not. I was gonna say I thought it broke the cycle. I think it just makes 3 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyways, we can throw that out in stockpile. We can call it Red's Flight. And something else we can do, if we open this in the blast editor, again this is just source address 1206, we're adding the value 1. We could try manipulating the value that we sent. We could try adding 2, for example. See what that does. In this case it doesn't do anything, it actually crashes our movement speed, or our movement. We can try adding 3. So nothing. We can go back to 1 and try subtracting instead. Whenever I hit T, I have a tooltip pop up. Subtract. And subtracting, it doesn't actually do anything. We try subtracting 2. Subtracting 2 does it though. Same amount of cycles too. Anyway. Let's do a fresh one. We're going to switch back from tilt types to random types. And we'll decrease the intensity to 300. A lot of the time, yeah, when you are doing a negative number, or if you're doing a very large value, it will cause it to overflow, and that can produce interesting effects. Yeah, maybe that's what's going on, like the actual position in memory is being overflowed, so that's why he's kind of flying all around as he's trying to find a position. And maybe 33. That was an interesting one. Maybe eventually it finally hits 0. No, you're fine. I totally get it. It's cool, like, trying to understand it, and finally you like, run into an understanding, and you can explain it to other people. Anyways, that's, what is that? That sounds like it's in the rocket space. gonna try increasing the intensity, just because we're not getting too much. I think the map addressing is a little bit off there. That's back to normal now. Yep, exactly. Phase shift 50% down. I actually get a lot of those with Pokemon where the map is shifted in one direction. That was just slightly up. Alright, let's try switching memory domains. So from here we're going to try corrupting... Let's do hardware RAM now. We need to lower intensity though, down to like 10. That one's not a bad one, so we're standing in place and all the sprites are moving with us. Keep that one. Luckily for us, we don't have very high intensity, so we don't have to do too much sanitization. There we go. We're just setting the value 1A at source address 5A. It's this effect. We can call it still sprites. Now, you'll notice that's not the right one. Build that one more time. There we go. Forgot to send it to the stash. Remove this one. Stockpile. Throw this one on. Well, this one's still sprites. So now if we open this in the blast editor, it's just one source address, 5A, value 1A. Now we can reroll that corruption. So we know the source address is, what was it again? 5A. And we can send a different value to memory by rerolling it. So now I just created another save state, we can take a peek at that one. And instead of the value 1A, it's now sending 2D. And we can use that to check if we create a different corruption out of that. Sometimes if you have a palette swap, you can create different palette swaps, like colorations, different mechanics can come out of it. For this one, I don't think we're getting anything new and interesting, but it's worth trying. I think most of this is going to be just movement sprites, in the same sense. You can also try, once again, manually changing this value. So if it's 1, I think this happens, and if it's 0, this does not happen. So if it's a non-zero value at source address 5A, our sprite sticks for some odd reason. You can also try doing a very large value like FF in X. And same thing. So yeah, just non-zero values creates this effect. Kind of interesting, we learned a little bit about that. But yeah, let's start with a fresh one. It's an S address? That is a good question, actually. It is 5B. We can try messing with that. And set a 0 value to that. If we're writing any value should do this, shouldn't it? Unless we're overwriting Okay, now you got me stumped. Good question though. It could be no malware memory. Overriding something that's not supposed to be overridden. Okay, yeah, no worries. Enjoy Water Thunder, man. That's a fun game. Wish you luck. Thanks for stopping by, I appreciate it. That's not a bad one, I like that effect. Throw that on the stockpile. Salute back at you. There we go. Single memory address, and throw that on the stockpile. Actually, let's try rerolling first. I want to see if we can get any other house corruptions out of that. Actually, yeah, we can. Wait, what was that one? It's the Poke Center. Oh, and it's overriding too. Keeps going up. Ah, we can throw that on the stockpile too. Why not? PB. Had a kind of neat effect. What happened to some like explosion going on? Anyway, let's keep. I don't want to keep this one necessarily. It kind of looks neat, but I prefer the Poke Center one. Let's go out and get our first Pokemon. We're gonna load our fresh save state here. I don't know if we can corrupt these Pokeballs. It'd be interesting if we could, but I think they're fairly well set. Let's try create another save state here. I do it right in front of one of these guys. Should be Charizard. Nope, I am wrong. Far left. Charizard. Cyndaquil. That's what I meant. I haven't played it in a very long time, and I feel bad that I didn't know the name. We're gonna take Cyndaquil though. Do I name it? Oh no, I don't. Oh, whoops. I didn't even. Here we go. Create a save state here. Forgot what I was doing. Save state. Corrupt. Not hardware RAM. We're gonna corrupt once again W RAM. Maybe at too low of an intensity, or bring that up to 200. I don't think there's any way to corrupt that. Also, what is that thing? Not fitting. Anyway, let's load and start. Okay, I'm gonna create a save state. Create another save state here. Now we can load that, no problem. Let's do some WRAM corruptions. Some coloration there and some awful sounds. Oh, he took some damage there, look at that. 47. Try a higher intensity. Health bar going to infinity. Let's do even a higher intensity since we're not crashing too much. Nicole, use teleport. Fled from the battle. Oh, Cynicle's paralyzed and asleep. An awful first battle. I like the one eye that's above Cynicle's name on there. Wait, let's go back. Very somber battle. I get hoot hot. Oh wait, I just made us leave. All right. High jump kick. Yeah, let's do a high jump kick. Oh, the hilarious picture in my head from that. Okay, I like that a lot because it's like an instrumental. It's like a bare bones version of the battle music. Let's see if we can keep that. That's tricky, because this is another one of those hybrid corruptions I was talking about, where there's multiple memory addresses that create this effect. I want to hear it again so I don't forget what it sounds like. Ah, that might be hard to sanitize. Because we're going to keep getting those instruments coming back. You know, let's leave it as is. We'll enable everything. Yeah, I think that's Satan. What's up, Lord? How you doing? I like this version. We're gonna call it Bare Bones Battle. Now, normally we would get rid of some of those visual corruptions on screen and whatnot, but we'll leave it like this for the music corruption. What's also listed as a music corruption? There we go. Let's try re-rolling to see if we get different music effects. Like that. What is that? Is that like the... Oh, I can't even pronounce that. I forgot they have all those Pokemon Twitch emotes. But these are more of the same. So let's try a fresh corruption now. A lot of stuff on screen on that one. Huh. Ran out of power moves. Alright, let's try switching to... I'm curious if OEM will have any effect here. Nope, they're not sprites. Let's do... hardware RAM. Actually, let's do System Bus. We haven't done that yet. I'm curious what those results are. I think 800 intensity is still alright. Might be wrong, though. Who's winking at me? Oh, now it's gone. For the most part, it doesn't seem very stable though. Let's bring it down to 400. 300, that works too. endorse lead battle. Yeah, that might be a little too much. Let's do 100. And unfortunately, no mechanical corruptions that I'm noticing, so we're gonna leave System Bus. We can try Hardware RAM for a little bit. We're gonna do an even smaller intensity for Hardware RAM. Oh, that's not bad one. Let's see that. Just kind of overrunning itself. It gave up eventually. Let's try re-rolling that. I like that. It tries to come back. It tries to fix itself, and it can't. Alright, let's do a fresh one. It's been cool saying hi to the audience. About a billion times. Let's try tilt types. So just increment or decrement values in hardware. They're very colorful crashes. It's kind of pretty, actually. A couple of these. Like those ones. Actually animated Cyndaquil fire. Okay, I'm not seeing too much with hardware RAM. Switch back to WRAM. We're gonna mess with some more engines now. Yeah, let's do that. So we're gonna bring the intensity up to 50 this time. And instead of the Nightmare engine, where we just set values for a temporary amount of time, we're gonna use the Hell GD engine, which is similar to Cheat Engine, and underneath the hood it really is Cheat Engine. May need to up the intensity of that. It can't be processor intensive. Okay, let's up the intensity. We'll bring it up to 400. Kind of cool looking one. Music's barely hanging on. I can't fight. It won't let me fight. $126 health. again. Oh, what's going on with the cursor? Let's try. We can try the distortion engine. Usually I find that it doesn't produce very interesting results. Distortion engine is really useful when we're auto-corrupting. Like, let me try auto-corrupting here for a moment. With less of an intensity, we'll bring it down to 50. Just to demonstrate what that looks like. I'm going to start auto-corrupting WRAM. Oh, even though it crashes right away. Let me stop doing that. Load to safe state. Even lower in intensity. 30. Every 5 iterations. And the way the distortion engine works is it chooses a bunch of source addresses, and after a certain amount of iteration steps, in this case we have 50, it takes the data that were at those source addresses, backs them up, and replaces those values once again. So, in this case, we're not finishing our tax step, or we might have crashed, I can't tell, and the music's being replayed again and again. I imagine because it's not reaching the end of the song and it keeps backing itself up over and over again. We can load that again and try the same thing. Stole berry from its foe. Oh no, that's pretty. I wish I could keep that. That's not on our save state stockpile, unfortunately. But that's a pretty Pokemon Gold. Let's try. We can do the freeze engine. So the way the freeze engine works is you give your random amount of source addresses. It forces the value at those source addresses to keep its value. So you can't change them. Say if it's the player position cannot change in, say, the X range or whatever. It will force it to go back to its original value. So we'll see if that has any effect. Other than crashes. I'm not seeing too much from that one. We can now try the pipe engine. Similar to the freeze engine, but it takes those random source addresses and instead it pipes the data from one source address to a secondary source address. Limited by the amount of max pipes. Slightly color tinted cynical. Bring the max pipes up to 60. He's leech seed. Anyways, not too much there either. We'll go back to the Nightmare engine, and the remaining memory domains that we can still mess with is ROM. Actually, I think that's it. We've tried everything else. Not too long of a stream, but still a fun one. I'm gonna hop off here a little bit. I was hoping on just about an hour of a stream. I got ooh, this is not a bad one. I got finals here, so studying for those. Gotta wake up early. So I like this one. You only have one move you can select, and it's a huge wall of text that says... Here, let me load it again. No Malphite, high, giving, ice and fire. Lots of just random stuff. Let's try sanitizing it a little bit. Okay, so interesting enough, it was just one source address that crits this effect. I imagine this has something to do with, like, bypassing a null terminator, and it's just reading all the text that's after that to the screen. Either way, very interesting looking. Alright, we're gonna throw it onto the stash, and we'll call it... what do we call this? How about... just something simple like null terminated. I'll put a note on this one and say try to fight using, I don't know, using tackle. There we go. We also didn't try other menu options, first of which crashes. Everything else seems to... oh, that's not bad either. I'll also make a note of that. Say... try opening your bag. Because that seems to also have the same effect where the end of the sentence doesn't actually end where it's supposed to, it keeps going. And we'll try running. Get away safely. Okay. Let's try rerolling that corruption, see if we get different values. Same for that. I think it's going to be any non-zero, because we'll probably eliminate a null terminating character. And yeah, that seems to be the case. Anyway, let's do a couple more. We'll do the same parameters. A cool effect there. Well, I like the sound of that last one. Let's hear that. Okay, not too interesting. Let's try tilt tights. Quality music. Oh, the last one had the visual I wanted. I want to keep it just because I like how that looked. I throw it on the stockpile just as is. Say, tackle to crash. Looking for the main menu visual corruption. I think with that one, go ahead and load it. And have it paused. That one, I think we were ready to bring the stream to an end. I had a little bit of a shorter stream today. I gotta hit the books immediately after this just to study for final exams, but in about 2 or 3 days I'm flying back home, back to my house. So I won't be streaming off a laptop, which will be fantastic for me. I'm going to be streaming off a desktop instead, so expect some more GameCube and Wii corruptions, expect some more, you know, high-quality games as opposed to some old classics. Not that I don't like the old classics. Yeah, let's grab someone to host here real quick. Leave this running in the background. Ooh, except for there's a little bit of latency, so let's actually pause that. And also for subscribe. So this one didn't have too many interesting corruptions in the stockpile. However, I will still upload the stockpile after the stream, and you can feel free to download it. Oh, that was loud. Why did I do that? I was running the entire stream. Oh, that's great. Alright. Thanks, original soundtrack. Let's do... Shoot. How about this? Yeah. So I make all the stockpiles available on YouTube after the fact, so you can download that stockpile from YouTube in the description for the stream archive. If you have a real-time corruptor, copy of the real-time corruptor, I'm using version 3.27b, you'll be able to load this in. I think actually with any version of the real-time corruptor, it's fairly generic. You can re-roll these corruptions, you can load them in. I didn't get too many ones that I liked a lot out of this one, but hey, maybe you can. Maybe you can produce some interesting corruptions and throw them my way. Yeah. And same goes for most of my other streams. I think all, if not a couple, are missing for the stockpiles as well. So check those out. As I see, for those of you who are on Twitch, I'm going to host someone on Twitch at the moment, so feel free to check them out. Otherwise, yeah, have a good one.